Gwe, Jalasi, Ninda Luisi, Julie Pellisier Lush, and I am honored to serve as your MC today. Thank you all for joining us as we commemorate the 5th annual National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. We begin, thank you. We begin by acknowledging that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abequit, Prince Edward Island, is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship. We honor the Mi'kmaq people who have lived here for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Today, we gather in solemn reflection. We honor the innocent children who never returned home from residential schools, and we recognize the survivors, their families, and their communities who continue to carry this difficult legacy. For Indigenous families, today is a day of memory, resilience, and healing. For all Islanders, today is a call to truth, to learning, and to the shared responsibility of reconciliation. Let me just say that it fills my heart to see so many of you here today wearing orange. Together, we are showing commitment to never forget. We will begin with a song from the Mi'kmaq Heritage Actors, followed by an opening prayer from Elder Barbara Jadis of Abequit First Nation. Afterwards, we will hear remarks from Premier Rob Lance and from Chief Tabitha Bernard of Lennox Island First Nation. And at noon, we will join together for a moment of silence alongside all Islanders to reflect, to honor, and to strengthen our resolve to walk the path of reconciliation. As the day transitions from morning into afternoon, we are reminded of our own journey from truth to reconciliation. This is a time to remember, to learn, and to reflect. And tomorrow, as we gather again for Treaty Day, we will move from solemn remembrance into celebration, lifting up Mi'kmaq culture, heritage, and the treaty relationship that we all share. Let us begin our commemoration in a good way today. I now invite the Mi'kmaq Heritage Actors to come and lead us in a song. Willalan, to the Mi'kmaq Heritage Actors, to Richard, Sean, Alex, Jared, and Tate, and all of our beautiful dancers that were in behind drumming. Thank you for that very powerful opening. And now I invite Elder Barbara Jadis to offer an opening prayer for our event.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for opening and opening prayer and starting us off in a good way. Thank you very much.
Kwe, Epjalasi, Epjalida means welcome everyone and hello. Medawalayan, Nina, Wana Asid, Nagu said Abid, Adelawisin na Barbara, Wigidna Scotchfort, Adelea Wina Ebigot First Nations. Inkitchna, Mary Jane Jadis was born in Ebigot on Lennox Island. And Nut Frank Jadis, my father, was born in Sebenagadi at Indian Brook First Nations, which is where the Shubenacadie Indian Residential School is located. There were many times when we were traveling and my dad would point up to the old school that was still there, and he would say that it wasn't a good place. And we would get chills going by, how sad it felt driving by. My mom, Mary Jane, she was sent to the residential school when she was 13 years old. But the school was full, and they sent her to Millbrook Indian First Nations. And she lived there with a family, the Francis family. And she was able to go to Indian Day School for 2 years. So when she turned 16, they sent her back to Lennox Island. But she grew up with all her struggles. Her mom passed away when she was 5 years old, so she went from different homes. So my mom, she carried a lot of hurt. So I want to acknowledge her today too. I try hard to speak my language and to celebrate my culture every day. So today I'm wearing a Mi'kmaq Women's Peak cap to represent my grandmothers, Mary Noel Thomas and Catherine Sack Maloney from Sebenagadi. Because I have to acknowledge all their struggles they went through every day to celebrate my language and my culture. I'm going to begin my prayer, and I invite everyone here to pray along with me in your own way, to pray for all the residential school survivors and their families, and for all the many children that didn't return home. Gisul is our creator, and when we pray, I lit a smudge of sweetgrass. So when I pray, my mind, my heart, my body, and my spirit is cleansed. So when I pray to Gisul, I also acknowledge the universe, the sun, the moon, the stars, and Mother Earth. Because we need to celebrate and acknowledge everything around us that's alive. Megadam Gisul. Nidalawis and Wanas, it Nago said Abid. Habon Minen Gisko Gisul, Bon when Amsada wended, Abid at Gina at Midjawandrich, Megadam Gisul, Bon Minen, Chicaladam with Gellock, a boy Minena, Gisna got at Minajay got old age. I acknowledged the sun, Nago said, Depgona said, Cloich, and Gizu sick Kamu, Balana Gellock. Chipchue wises and bisun, make it young so. Bonaminana, Atnijan, Gasalo. And I pray also for everyone here that they would have a good day and celebrate our Mi'kmaq culture. I'm Sidnogama. Oh, Walalingaso.
Willalan, Elder Barbara, for beginning our gathering in such a beautiful and meaningful way by sharing your story of your family. Now I invite Premier Rob Lance to deliver remarks on behalf of the government of Prince Edward Island.
Kwe, good morning, everyone. It is heartwarming to see the turnout from our communities. I see so many friends and neighbors and familiar faces from all of our communities, and I thank you all for being here today. We're all here to recognize and honor all that this day means, and again, I thank you. I've been sitting here looking out on the crowd and feeling very grateful for this spectacular turnout. I see countless members of the Legislative Assembly here. I began to list them, but there's too many to list. Our federal MPs are here. Members of cabinet, their worships from various municipalities. I am very grateful for all of you being here today for this event. And we're grateful to be here on the ancestral land of the Mi'kmaq people, the original caretakers of what we now call Prince Edward Island, but what our indigenous peoples have always called Abequid. We honor and respect their deep connection to this place. Today, on the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, we come together to honor survivors, families, and communities still deeply impacted by the painful legacy of residential schools. It's a day for all Islanders and Canadians to reflect, learn, and stand in solidarity. It's also Orange Shirt Day, a grassroots, Indigenous-led effort to raise awareness of the history and legacy of residential schools in Canada. A few have remarked that the wasps seem to like the orange. Wearing orange serves as a symbol to acknowledge and honor survivors on their healing journey, and to remember the thousands of lives tragically impacted by the residential school system. It also serves as a reminder that every child matters. As Minister responsible for Indigenous relations, I want to reaffirm our government's commitment to working alongside the PEI, Mi'kmaq, and Indigenous communities and organizations. You have my commitment. As we continue our journey towards reconciliation, we're proud to uphold our role as a supportive ally and a partner. Reconciliation is not just about acknowledgement. It's about listening to the voices of Indigenous peoples and responding with meaningful action. Today, it's important for all Islanders to learn about the history of residential schools, to listen to the stories of survivors, and acknowledge the discrimination that took place here in PEI and across Canada. By continuing to educate ourselves and listening to survivors, we're taking steps towards meaningful reconciliation and becoming stronger allies to Indigenous peoples. I invite everyone to view the orange signs. Where are they? Over here to my right, that highlight the timeline of residential schools in Canada. It's an opportunity to deepen our understanding of this part of our history. Let's use this day as a starting point for strengthening our relationships and advancing the important work of truth and reconciliation. Thank you again. I'm, again, so grateful for all of you being here with us today. Wilaliyuk.
Well, Alan, thank you, Premier Lance, for those thoughtful words. I now invite Chief Tabitha Bernard of Lennox Island First Nation to offer remarks on behalf of the Mi'kmaq leadership. Is that one it?
Well, Alan, thank you, Julie, for your kind words and welcome, and to Elder Barb Jadis for your beautiful prayer, and to the Mi'kmaq Heritage Actors for your powerful song and dance. Kwe, Waliexikbog, hello and good morning to each and every one of you gathered here today. Nin Delawasan Sagima, Tabitha Bernard. My name is Chief Tabitha Bernard, and it is both an honor and a responsibility to stand before you on this National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. I am humbled to follow the footsteps of former Chief Darlene Bernard of the Lennox Island First Nation, whose leadership and dedication continue to inspire us all. I want to acknowledge our elders and survivors, the Premier, Lieutenant Governor, Her Honor, members of the Abeguet Assembly of Councils from Lennox Island and Abeguet First Nations, our regional chief, and all of you who have gathered here today in remembrance and solidarity. I also want to take a moment to recognize Senator Brian Francis, the first Mi'kmaq senator of Abeguet. Senator Francis was instrumental in sponsoring the bill that established the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, ensuring that the truths of residential schools would be formally acknowledged by this country each year. Today, he is in Ottawa, representing Abeguet at the National Commemorative event. And though he could not be here with us, his leadership and dedication are deeply felt. Today marks the 5th National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. We gather on unceded Mi'kmaq territory under the treaties of peace and friendship that were meant to guide our relationship in mutual respect. Those treaties remind us of the path that should have been followed and how far history has strayed from that promise. This day is deeply significant. It is a time to reflect on the painful truths of the Indian residential schools, Indian day schools, like the one we had in Lennox Island, and other colonial policies that sought to erase our identities and break our families. Today, many children never made it home. Too many families were left with an empty place at the table and a grief that echoes across generations. We remember those children today. We honor the survivors who live with the trauma of those experiences and their families, and we recognize the lasting impact that still touches every Indigenous community, including ours here in Abeguet. It's important to remember that this history is not so far in the past. The last residential school closed less than 30 years ago. Survivors and their families live among us, and they continue to share their truths. Their courage gives us the gift of memory and the responsibility of action. But today is not only about loss, it is also about resilience. It is about honoring the strength of Indigenous peoples who endured the harshest attempts to silence us, but who remain strong in language, culture, and identity. We are still here. We are still Mi'kmaq in Abeguet, and we will continue to thrive. As a newly elected leader, I take inspiration from the generations before me who carried the struggle, and from the youth of today who carry hope in their pride, in their confidence, and in their determination I see a future where Mi'kmaq voices grow even stronger. This year marks 10 years since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission issued its calls to action. Call to action number 82 is one that speaks directly to us here in Abeguet. It calls on every provincial government to work with survivors to install a residential schools monument in each capital city to honor those who were lost and who survived. Yet here in Abeguet, no such monument exists. This is unfinished work. Meeting this call to action should be simple, but it is also deeply meaningful. Survivors, their families, and all islanders deserve a visible, lasting place of honor and remembrance here in Charlottetown. Of course, reconciliation cannot end with symbols. The work must move into policy, partnerships, and long-term commitments that bring real change. But symbols matter. They tell our children, our visitors, and our future generations that we value and whose stories we choose to remember. Reconciliation is not work that Indigenous peoples can do alone. It is a responsibility for all Canadians. It means facing the truth, however painful. It means action, not just words. It means governments making meaningful investments in language revitalization, in education, in healing, and in community well-being. And it means that every day Canadians continue to learn, to listen, and to stand with us. Wearing orange shirts that gather here today sends a powerful, powerful message of solidarity. But the work of reconciliation must extend beyond this day. It must live in the ways we teach our children, in the stories we tell, and in the systems we build together. As we prepare to lower the flags in memory of the children who never returned home, I ask each of you to carry the spirit of this day forward, please. Let it guide us in building a future of respect, justice, and unity. Walalan, thank you for being here today, for listening, and for walking this path with us. Let us honor the memory of those we lost and the resilience of those who survived by ensuring a brighter future for the generations yet to come. Umsit Nogama, all my relations, Walalio. Thank you.
Willalan, Chief Tabitha, for sharing your words and your heart with us and your knowledge. We will now take a moment of reflection. Now at this time, I invite everyone to pause with us in silence to remember the children who never returned home, to honor the survivors, and to reflect on the truth of this history that we all share. Let us take 1 minute together in silence to give thought to all those stories that we have been hearing and that we have yet to hear. I now invite everybody just to take 1 minute of silence with us today. Walalan. Thank you all for taking that moment with us today. In this silence, we honor the children who were lost, the families who continue to heal, and the communities who carry the legacy of residential schools. Let this moment remind us all of our shared responsibility to listen, to learn, and to act with care, compassion, and commitment towards reconciliation. May it inspire each of us to carry the lessons of today into our everyday lives and into the future we are building together. Now I ask His Honor, Dr. Salamoon, Premier Rob Lance, Chief Tabitha Bernard, and Elder Barb Jadis to make their way to their respective flagpoles for the lowering of the flags, which will be followed by a brief photo opportunity. And now, to end us off in a good way, Elder Barbara Jadis has asked that I share a song to send everybody safely upon the rest of their day and to give thanks for everybody who has taken the time to come out and participate with us and be a part of this day. It's so important that we take this time to listen and learn. Way high, way oh hey, way high, way oh hey, way high, way oh hey, high oh, way high, way oh hey. Eagle flying in the sky, spread your wings and fly so high. Eagle flying in the sky, spread your wings and fly so high. Way high, way oh hey, way high, way oh hey, way high, way oh hey, high oh, way high, way oh hey. Walalio, thank you everybody for being here today. Wilaliag, thank you all for joining us today to commemorate the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. As we conclude, let us carry the spirit of this day forward. May it remind us that reconciliation is not a single moment, but it is a journey, one that requires reflection, understanding, and respect. Tomorrow we will come together again here for Treaty Day, a day of celebration, culture, and shared pride. Today we remember, tomorrow we celebrate, and every day in between we continue to walk this path together. The official party will now be available to the media, and this officially concludes our ceremony. In Sitnogama, all my relations, I now ask His Honor Dr. Salamun, Premier Lance, Chief Tabitha, and Elder Barbara Jadis to gather in front of the podium for a group photo. Walalio.